Okay, tell me if you can relate. You go on this incredible photo trip. You wake up at 4:30 a.m. You drive for an hour. Get to this incredible location. Wait, fingers crossed, hoping for something epic to happen. And all you get are clear blue skies. Okay, we've probably all been in that circumstance. And historically, that means pretty much you're putting your camera away, right? Maybe you take some shots, maybe you don't even take a single photograph. We've all been told, everybody knows that if you're a serious landscape photographer, we have to have clouds. We have to have amazing light. We have to have something epic happen in order to get this great photograph. All right, that can be true. I agree. But I'm here to make the case that you don't always have to have clouds. You don't always have to have epic light. You can create a really compelling, really solid landscape image, even with clear blue skies. If you want to continue to create, if you want to be productive every time you go out and shoot, being able to capture images with clear blue sky days is really nice. It really means that you're actually going to be producing work and that you're going to be creating something even whenever you don't necessarily have the most epic thing in the world happen to you, which again, it doesn't happen very often. I can literally go for months shooting all the time and not actually get an epic sky. So let's talk a little bit about why that is. Why do I think that blue skies are okay these days? Well, a few reasons. The first thing is I've kind of learned over the last few years how to make a really strong or at least a much better image in blue sky conditions. The first trick is you really have to be in a situation where you can fill the frame with interest and not have to rely on the sky. I talk about that all the time. Filling the frame with interest is a really important part of photography. And the sky can really help that, right? If you have this incredible sky that fills that whole part of the frame with something interesting, it's great. So if you're shooting in a situation where you don't have that, you really need to make sure that the rest of the photograph is really interesting, that you have very strong subject matter, and that you can tell a really great story with the rest of the image not necessarily relying on the sky. So that's one key thing. Really make sure that you've got a really interesting subject. You've got that the rest of the image is very strong. Okay. Along with that, you don't necessarily need to show all that much of the sky. Because you have this hopefully really interesting foreground, you can choose to show just a much smaller area of sky in the photograph, and that's going to be okay. So that's the first thing that I think is kind of really huge. The second thing that I want to talk about is we have to find slightly different type of lighting for this to work. In other words, you can't just shoot any plain blue sky. If the sky is just pure blue, if it's later in the day, that sort of thing, there's a much less like there's a lot less of a likely chance that this is going to actually work for you. So we're looking for the right light. And basically, I mean, it's really simple. Basically, that light that we're looking for in a clear blue sky type situation is just really early and really late. Whenever we go out and shoot in these really early or really late time periods, we just get a lot better light for what we're looking for here. Basically, a little bit of color. We have real soft blues. We potentially have some soft pinks. We can work on this with editing and just kind of make some subtle changes that will help bring this out. But shooting really early, really late, potentially quite a bit earlier than you would normally get there, before you would maybe have great color in the sky, for example, or after you would maybe normally pack up and leave. A lot of times this ends up being kind of the best light for these clear blue sky situations. So make sure that you're shooting in really good light. That's part of it. Again, make sure you're really filling the frame. That's another thing. But also really keep in mind why this might potentially work or why this could be a really good option. And that is because clear blue skies are very clean and very simple. So many times, whenever you have clouds, unless they're really good, unless they're just epic, sometimes these clouds can actually make your photo worse if you already have a scene that's a little bit too busy, you've got a little too much going on, and then you have busy type clouds that aren't necessarily adding a lot to the photograph, they can potentially make your shot a little bit too busy. They can push it over the line. Again, if it's already kind of borderline, if it's already fairly busy, and then you add more elements to it, that's not going to necessarily help. It's going to make things worse. So, for certain scenes, using a clear blue sky just as kind of an artistic idea to help make the image overall more clean and more simple, that's actually really good. That's a really strong reason that these clear blue sky shots can work. So there's a few tips for you. Really think about the light, really think about the subject matter. Again, we're looking for great light stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like a great light, great skies, awesome clouds, interest, it makes things different. Sure, that's great. But do not underestimate this ability or your ability to potentially just shoot in these situations that aren't maybe perfect or that aren't ideal. Okay, hopefully that helps a little bit. I know that's kind of a different way of looking at things. It may be a little bit of a paradigm shift, but I really think going out and at least taking photos, at least doing your very best whenever you're out there, you don't have the conditions you're looking for. At least try that. At least see what you get. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to share these images. There's just so many people that are taking great photos these days. There's so many, so many people that are adding fake skies in there these days that I honestly think that sometimes these blue sky shots can kind of stand out. I really think that occasionally you'll have a clear blue sky shot that maybe is better than the equivalent shot that has clouds. So really give this a go, give it a try. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe and give me a like. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments as well. Bye.